Hey, Sam back with you here, Tuesday, May 22nd, late morning, and doing our final update here. And members looking for an update on Bitcoin. So this was relatively easy. I just pulled up the chart that I was using, I think last Friday was when I did the last Bitcoin update. So this is the bullish count, and if it's still active here, well, it remains to be seen. It's typical of Bitcoin. It's not making it easy for us. So here was the idea, and you can see the hot box that was drawn here with the algo target on it, which we got to the tick. So interesting, but the idea additionally behind it, if in white here, if we've completed an impulse wave, right, from our low down here, if we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 completed, with a completed impulse, we'd work from the low to the high. And you can see here, I just drew the box between the algo target and the 618 as a potential, an area to look for a reaction if this was going to hold. We got this reaction coming out of that, but it's not the cleanest. It's not the cleanest five-wave structure. And in fact, at first glance, it looks more like you might have an ABC there. But we got to dig into it a little bit, see if we can sustain this. Now, of course, the tell will be, how far are we retracing? We still going to hold here as a contender for this to be a one wave, but to get 5 out of that, it's a little tricky here. So we got to go down. We got to go all the way down to the 15-minute here and see if we can get a handle on it. So let me blow this up here and see, can we get a motive wave out of this? So let me move this off here. So here's our low here. So what I see, this looks to me like I've got an extension in the first. So I would be inclined to count it this way, 1, 2, because of the depth of that retracement. I'm not in love with this, but that's if I'm going to get 5 out of this. So I'd be wicking this off here. So clearly we'd have a diagonal, so this would have to be ABC into our 4 into an ABC extension in the first. That's what I'm inclined to see here, and part of that is, so if I pull from my swing low to my swing high here, you can see here's the 50. So we make a retracement deep enough here to give us a contender for a 2. We do it in 3. And then we go algo target to the tick, reaction. Well, if that's a reaction, we're going to look at 2 things. So first, we're going to look at the reaction, of course, from the last algo target, from the pivot here, from the 2 to the 3. We come to the 38 to the tick. All right, and then we go up and looks like we came shy of that target. The other one you'd want to check is from the low, given that it's a diagonal from the start of the 1 to the pivot of the 3rd. You can see here 23.6, and yet again we just left wanting up here. We don't get the algo target. So is that completed 5? Well, if that's completed 5, if so, extension in the first, deep 2. I don't love this, but you might look at it and think, oh, that would be more likely 3, 4, but we've already retraced below the 2, so it can't be that. So I'm inclined to say, if we're going to lean into the bullish count here, I suppose the alternate would be you'd have 1, 2, and this would be 1, 2. Yeah, so this could be 1, 2. You'd still have. See, I don't like it as much because of the technical nature here, because we went 50 to target. So I'm trying to force that. I just think, given the depth of that retracement, that's more likely, or 2, if we're trying to hold on to a bearish count. Of course, the obvious question is, are we force fitting something here to try and hold on to that bullish bias? Well, if that were a completed 5 wave, we'd be looking for the retracement. We know a 2 can be anywhere from the 50 to 618, or pardon me, from the 50 to 786 for a 2. Well, now the break here, bearish, right? The deeper we go, we'd like to, let's see if I've got that right on there. So if that's going to play as a 1, well, you'd have to be looking here at some sort of a in here. There's our deepest retracement, and then we finish in 5. So you've got a contender here for, albeit a shallow B. So we have an A, B, and then it looks like we finish here in 5. That may not be done. This may be 1, 2, 3, 4 going in. There's one more push down for the 5. So it's not an easy count, and there's no clear tell as to what we've got here. Oops, no clear tell. 1, 2, 3, 4. If there's one more down, we were to come to the 786, that's what you'd anticipate. So a very skinny channel being established here. So wouldn't be surprised if that had one more kick down here for a C wave here, challenging the 786. Question mark if that holds. So for the bulls, it's doesn't look terrific here. It would be, contender that's our low, but this looks like that could play down for one more. Remains to be seen. As we sit here in golden zone, wouldn't surprise me that there's buying interest there. So one of those two is in play here. Now this, because it feels a little bit like a force fit here, we got to go look at the bearish count and see if that's fitting better. I still like this as a low here because of the technical pivot, but it's not looking great here for the bulls. So let's go just take a look at that bearish count. Now, bearish count here is operating on the assumption that we put in an A wave here. This was an ABC into an somewhat of an unusual formation here because we have all of this clarity in an A. We do get a 3 wave into, we have to allow for the truncated C into a B, and then we have 5 to give us that C. It feels again a little bit, it's not ideal symmetry that you would have a C that would be that short in time and range relative to the A. Again, it's not unheard of, but it feels a little bit like that's a stretch there. It's certainly not typical. So, but allowing for that, we'd have A, B is in here, and now we're in the process of putting in that C. So if that were the case, we'd have 5 waves down, and it looks to me like this is a contender for a B wave to be going in. So again, as I just was showing you, the fact that we could go to the 786 and pivot would suggest a contender for an AB going up for the C here. So that the implication would be we go C, and then we start down for the 3, the 4, and then the 5 would be down here, something like that. So that would be the count that would be playing with this as a B wave. 1 is in. We're in the process of carving out our second contender here. Contender, just nothing more than a contender for the B. And for all we know, this could just go head straight down. We don't know. Right? So we've got what we can see is from the pivot here to pivot high to pivot low, we've come just to the 50. Right? No surprise there. We get the reaction, but we could be heading here. No telling, right? So that from that 50, its algorithm sells it there. They're heading there. That would be we'd be pushing here to call that a B wave. I suppose it's still in the realm of possibility. We could get an expanded flat, but more likely here the B is in the process of going in here, and if this is going to play, you'd look for a reaction. 618 would be a likely target here for that B, and then you'd be looking for that to come down and complete in 5. That would put us back down here challenging these lows, which would be, bears are going to love that. Bulls not so much. So we'll see if we get a tell here. Now, can we put this pivot in here, go up? What does this subdivision look like if we're putting in a B? Do we come up here for the C and 5? That would add, if we're going to come up here and pivot and then run into some resistance here and start to roll over, that would add to the bearish count, to the idea the bearish count is dominating here as we get that 3-wave correction of this clear 5 coming down into the B. Then we'd be looking for the impulse down in the 3. So, it's just not easy. Bitcoin is rarely, at least from in 2018, it has never been particularly easy to get a count on this. So, the thing about an Elliott wave count is you're looking at a snapshot in time, and it could just be the market has not revealed itself enough yet to where we can really qualify it. We have just potential roadmaps. And I suppose you can always make the argument that it's always just a potential roadmap. Well, what we can see with clarity is that we had 5 coming up here. Now, whether or not it's 5 here into an ABC, that's where the subjectivity is, and we need more information to confirm it. That's why we have a bull and a bear count, because right now it's not clear as to which one is dominating. At first glance, this sure looks like a 3-wave to me going into an 8. Even though we went through and went all the way down to the 15-minute, try and carve a 5 out of that, I feel a little bit like that's a force fit, and we are not going to know until we see whether or not this pivot low here, that technical pivot that we looked at, right, where we drew the hot box, whether that technical pivot, so it would be back here, whether this is going to hold. right? It remains to be seen. So, you know, kind of at a critical moment here in Bitcoin, if we're gonna sustain here the idea that we've got to remember here this from swing low, or that we've got a good location for that second here. We're between, if I go from this low here or this one, either one, if we're in between the 50 and the 618, that's a reasonable spot for our 2, but this is going to need to get up and start getting impulsive for us to start to lean into that count. For the time being, this looks more like a 3 to me. So caution here. All right, that's what I see today. Just a reminder, you can give us a visit on TradeDevils.com. That's TradeDevils with an S.com. Want to learn more about some of the educational content and way that we interact with our members. So we have a private Discord, very, very active traders from all over the world. If you're interested in that, give us a visit over at TradeDevils.com, and we also offer one-on-one coaching if that's the format that you prefer to learn in. So a lot of opportunity for you. This going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Okay, guys, that's for an update. That's all I've got today. So we'll wrap it there. All right, back to you later.